Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today we have another Let's Talk video. So it's going to be a forum discussion. We have a post that's been kind of popular. It's been circulating for the last couple of days on the forums, and it's titled Armour, Why It Doesn't Work and How to Make It Work. So I kind of skimmed through this before. I didn't really read into it, but he's coming with the graphs and the math and the equations and the coding. So I thought this would be an interesting video to go over. See what he has to say, see what the comments have to say. I'm gonna give my own opinion at the end, or in between the statements he makes, and we're gonna see how we go from there. I think Armour does need a change, in my opinion. Before we do start the video, I do think it does need a change, because I don't get how I'm fully armored in late game Armour and rocks still do 10 HP damage. But listen, we're gonna talk about that later. I decided to do something more positive with these Let's Talk videos also. I usually pull up some crazy threads with some crazy people that, I'm not going to say crazy people, but have some crazy ideas. Like the last one I did, some guy said that the developer should go to jail and the company should shut down because they released an early access game. So, yeah, I decided to actually, focus these videos more. I'm still gonna do that, right? Don't get it twisted. I'm still gonna do that sometimes, but I want to focus this on actual topics of the game, how to improve the game and things of that nature, right? And news and all that, right? So yeah, let's get right into it. So like I said, I skimmed it, but I didn't read through it thoroughly. But I seen that it's gotten some good reviews from the community. So let's read it. Let's read it. So, okay, so why Armour doesn't work. So he has like one thing that says why Armour doesn't work and how it can be made better, right? Yeah, so it's two posts. All right. So why Armour doesn't work. So I was inspired to make this post by two things. First, this video, and I skimmed through this video as well. And second, after being hit by a stone while wearing high quality armor. That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. I yoinked my wife's armor right after I married her, and that my armor cost 260k dinars, and I think I actually take more damage than it shows on the screen right here. I think I'm like 10 to 11 for every rock thrown. So yeah, definitely a problem. Basically, armor seems to have bugger all effect in the game, and I went and investigated why. Look at this guy. Look at this guy doing work. I like it. I like it, It's not just one of those like, oh, it needs to be fixed posts, He's actually going to go into the calculation. So let's see this. So behind the spoiler is the relevant game code and my notes about the variables. Okay. Just letting you guys know, I took some coding classes. I understand what most of this stuff is, but some of this stuff is very like, what do you call it? Murky, right? So some stuff I know, some stuff I don't know, but he does explain it down here, so we'll be fine. I'm just going to look over it real quick. So this is the in-game code that's already in the game. Okay. Let's see what he has to say. Thanks to Zendrees. Thank you, bro, whoever you are. The inputs are damage type, cut, pierce, or blunt. Okay, so where is it? Damage type, magnitude, how hard the weapon hits. The calculation of this one is fairly complicated, and I may go over it at a later date. The damage stat on weapons in the inventory screen is derived quantity relating to this magnitude, basically considering it as raw damage amount before armor comes into play. Okay, you got a float magnitude. Okay. Armor effectiveness, the armor value protecting the specific body part that got hit. So the number that's shown on the armor, right? Then we have absorbed damage ratio, some kind of blanket damage reduction thing. Appears to be unused. The only entities that have it defined have it set to 1. Okay, so that might be a future thing they want to implement, but right now it's just a static 1. Okay. Then we have the factor by damage type, some kind of formula altering number to change the behavior of weapon damage types. Blunt is 1, pierce is 0.25, and cut is 0.1. I'll go into below. The This thing mostly cancels itself out and is only actually important when calculating the integral damage reduction. So it looks like blunt is the strongest, right? Then pierce, then cut. Okay. Okay. So that's the endgame code. If you guys want to pause, I'm also going to link this post in the description. I could try to explain this, but I'll be honest with you. We're going to spend a good 10 minutes here, and I'm probably going to give the worst explanation possible. So pretty much what he means by inputs are the ones up here, and these are the equations that use these inputs that are defined at the top. And yeah, like I said, if you want to pause it, you can see it exactly how it is done. Alrighty, now we have the next one, which is the damage calculation code. Okay. So this has a lot more inputs and a lot more, I don't know the exact coding terminology for this. But you got to define whatever you're going to use below in your code always, you know. So as you can see, there's a lot of defined things right here. Got the magnitude thing again. The speed bonus, I think that's when you're on a horse and you know, you do more damage if you speed up and then hit the enemy, right? Hit shield on back, blocked with shield. Yeah, a lot of stuff, Okay, let's see what he has to say. So points of interest, hit shield on back. If you have a shield on your back, it adds 10 plus 10 armor if it hit there. That's interesting. Okay. So it doesn't negate all the damage. So it doesn't, like, let's say you're holding a shield in front of you. That takes all the damage away, but if it's on your back, it's only like a reduction, right? Well, it gives you more armor, which reduces the damage. Okay, so damage multiplier of bone. The damage bonus from getting in the head versus getting hit in the arm. The damage bonuses are as follows. Head and neck twice, 2 times pierce damage, 1.2 times cut and blunt damage. Leg 0.8 damage, 0.8 times damage for all damage types. Horse legs 1.2 times damage for all damage types. Okay. I also found a curious bit of code that I can't understand the purpose of. It appears to make all blunt weapon attacks 50% stronger. So this man, multiplier, victim agent. Jesus. Yeah, let's take it from him. Okay, so I like how all this stuff gets taken into effect, but from an outside perspective of playing the game, I feel like none of this is taken into effect. The cancel damage, yes, if you're using your shield, right? Fall damage is a crazy one, but I think it is well balanced. You know, I think it ramps up very quickly depending on how far you fall. But just some of the damage from some weapons don't make any sense. Like I've had end game armor. I've run at a looter and he literally does 80 damage with his pitchfork, which I don't think, you know, realistic, but you know, we'll see. Alrighty, so that's the 2 codes. Let's see what he has to say about it. He has some graphs that are going to show it better. Alrighty, so the damage calculation looks a bit complicated, but with a bit of algebra, they simplify nicely. From the code, magnitude is, so I don't forget, magnitude is how hard the weapon hits. Okay, so magnitude is just literally the number that comes on the weapon. Okay, so magnitude times factor by damage type. And factor by damage type is the one that makes blunt 1, pierce 0.25, and cut 0.1 times 100 divided by parentheses 100 plus armor. So I guess the armor number plus in parentheses 1 minus factor by damage type. Factor by damage type is the exact one that gives blunt 1, pierce 0.25, and cut 0.1 times parentheses magnitude times 100 divided by parentheses 100 plus armor minus 0.5 armor. Oh, Jesus. Okay. So this simplifies to magnitude times 100 divided by parentheses 100 plus armor minus parentheses 1 minus damage type times 0.5 times armor. Hold on. Let me think about that in my head real quick. Hold on. So for cut damage, so they're different for... Yeah, since the factor by damage type with blunt being 1, so for blunt damage, it's just the basic formula. And then since this is 0.25 for pierce, you got the 0.25 and the 0.1 Okay, so it's getting smaller and smaller. Alrighty. So damage. Okay, so let's look at these graphs. So damage in versus damage out for 50 armor. Okay, so we got black line right here is cut. This is pierce, blunt, and no armor. So obviously, if you have no armor, you know, do the full damage. Then we got damage reduction from 20 damage attack. So damage after armor and armor. Okay, so pretty much what these graphs are saying is blunt is the most effective. You know, overall speaking, it is the most effective. The formula can be divided cleanly into two parts. The first part, 100 divided by 100 plus armor, is essentially a percentage reduction, and a weak one at that. With 50 armor, a decent amount to have by late mid-game. This is 33% reduction. With 60 armor, close to being the best you can get, it's 37.5% reduction. These figures are very low when you compare them to other games. Early ID software games, for instance, had armor ranging from 50% to 80% protection, and even then, they didn't make you feel invulnerable. The second part is integral damage reduction. This is the main thing that protects you from cut and pierce damage. Okay, so yeah, so this one right here. So cut and pierce damage completely falls off at some point, but blunt still, you know, is gonna get you regardless. However, for blunt damage, it's completely absent. Yeah, as we can see by the graphs. This means that no matter how much armor you've cheated onto your character, he's probably talking about the wipe strategy, you know. You'll never be fully protected from people flinging 3 damage pebbles. I think that's exactly, yeah, okay. See, we're getting full circle. We're getting full circle. So, yeah, the rocks are counted as blunt damage. So, regardless of how much armor you have, they will still hit you like a rock, literally. So, this is the core reason why armor feels ineffectual. The damage reduction for attacks in general and blunt in particular is so low as to basically not be worth having heavy armor. Yeah, it is crazy though. I have to admit. So if the calculations are right, like he states right here, even with like almost end game armor, the most you're gonna get is 37.5% reduction, which is like he also stated. You know, most games do have 50% to 80% reduction on most things. So yeah, I agree. Listen. He did his math. You know, he did all the math. He did all the he got all the code together, explained it. You know, like usually I'm very critical on posts and stuff like that, but he did all his homework. You know, so I do appreciate this. Obviously, this will help the the community see it. You know, kind of picture it. Obviously with the graphs and stuff like that. But now, since we found out why it doesn't work, let's see the main guy's, what do you call it? His next post, which is how the damage model can be made better, in his opinion. You know? So let's see. So a good armor damage model needs to achieve several things. Okay, let's see these things. So armor needs to feel like armor and not cardboard. True. High quality historical armor provides a huge amount of protection from most strikes, and the gameplay needs to reflect that. Yeah, if you were wearing like full metal armor back in the day, you know, like you're very very protected. The only places you're really not protected is like where let's say like a heavy knight, like the heavy knight armor, whatever you would like, the stereotypical heavy knight armor. The only places you wouldn't be protected is where the chainmail is, but then you'd still be protected from most swords, but you wouldn't be protected from, let's say, like an arrow or something, right? Depending on how how you're shot and all of that. But usually you have a lot of protection. But in this game, you can have a full, shock troop gear, whatever you want to call it, and you get one tapped. You can get one tapped. Okay, so next one. Incidental weak blows should do 0 damage. Okay, yeah. A lone armored combatant should be brought down by dozens. Wait, a lone armored combatant should be brought down by dozens of peasants/looters. In real life, a lone knight would be wrestled to the ground by the peasantry and knifed through the eye slits, armpits, or see, like the eye slits and armpits, right? Or where their armor's been undone, or where the the chainmail and stuff is, right? or had their armor undone before being killed. We don't have that in Mountain Blade, so it's important that such attacks from low tier fighters still do 1 to 2 damage so that lone knights who lose their horse among peasants can eventually be killed. Yeah, like they could be swarmed, right? And the problem with I think the game right now is even if the if you fall off your horse and there's 3 targets, regardless if they're very low tier or there's a big chance they're gonna destroy you because you can't block all 3 attacks while making your own attacks, right? Because you try to go for an attack and you're gonna get hit by all 3 of them. You're not gonna get stun locked, but it's pretty similar in my opinion. So if you fall off your horse and there's 3 or 4 even bandits, there's a big chance you're gonna you're not gonna win that fight at all. Okay, so it's important that armor doesn't absorb too much damage from super heavy attacks like trebuchet rocks or a lance to the face for maximum velocity. True, those should probably one-shot you, There should be a meaningful gameplay distinction between using cutting, piercing, and blunt weapons. The player should find himself in situations where they have to weigh up the pros and cons of which item type to equip. There's sort of already is a distinction between cutting and other damage types, but ideally there should be a distinction between piercing and blunt too. True, I believe that as well. These goals can be achieved by either an integral damage reduction or percentage absorption system. Man, this guy got it all the damn. Oh damn. Okay, let's read these. So first graph, we have percentage absorption method. So we have damage after armor, damage before armor. So depending on which armor you have, it just significantly decreases as the more armor you get to the... Okay. And how does that look compared to this? Okay. Next one is the flat absorption method. Damage after armor, damage before armor. So it's damage after armor, damage before armor for each one. The flat absorption method. Okay. So these are the 2 methods that are being used right now, right? Because we have the percentage absorption method that goes for blunt weapons is what it looks like. The flat absorption method is what they got going for pierce and cut is what it's looking like. And his proposed model should look something like this. So it's kind of like a curved line, right? Like towards the top it kind of curves up a little bit faster. Okay. Instead I proposed a piecewise function, something that absorbs all damage from small attacks. As you can see, it's very low right here for the small attacks, and then as it gets higher, lets some damage through for medium attacks and allows lots of damage to get through from heavy attacks. Okay, one way of doing this is with 3 joined linear functions: a flat damage reduction up to some value, let's say armor divided by 2, a small amount of damage leakage, say 25% up to the armor value, and full damage for higher values. Okay, hold on, let me read that one more time. A flat damage reduction for some values. Okay. A small amount of damage leakage, let's say 25% up to the armor value, and full damage. Okay, so a lot of different things put together, right? To make that, instead of it just being a line that consistently goes up, certain things impact it, right? That's why you get the curved line, because there's different aspects of the his proposed model. Another way is to join a curved function such as a parabola. I don't think I said that right, but I'm gonna just stop. With a line, you just match the two up where the curved slope becomes 1. A more aggressively curved function like a cubert or exponential could be used to further reduce the damage at low levels. Okay, so let's see this piecewise quadratic model with armor, without armor. Okay, piecewise linear model. This one's kind of like a smooth curve, and this one has, you know, especially in the lower levels, it has some I don't know what the correct word for this is, because this guy always is using, you know, so I don't know what the correct word for this is, but it kind of, you know, I can't even find a word for it. But this one's smooth. This one's a little bit jagged at the bottom when it comes to low damage. This gives more room for mixing and matching models to make pierce and blunt damage a bit more distinct. For instance, armor could be more effective at absorbing very low damage pierce attacks versus blunt attacks, but less effective at moderate damage levels. Alternatively, blunt damage could be more effective at interrupting attacks. Currently, all damage types will interrupt an attack if the damage dealt is over 5. I didn't know that. Cool facts. If the threshold for blunt damage is lower, it allows blunt weapons to be more threatening to armored opponents without necessarily having to completely be armor piercing. Oh, okay, so even if they did completely no damage, a blunt weapon would kind of, you know, stagger an enemy and, you know, kind of like, in a way, kind of stun lock them, right? So even if the enemy had a lot of armor, there's still the chance he might get staggered. Because if you ever attacked, let's say if you're a very low level and you attacked one of the Imperial Horsemen, sometimes you would hit them and they would be in mid-attack and they would still attack because because you did barely any damage to them. But if you hit them with a blunt weapon, right, then they still would get staggered regardless of the damage. I agree with that. Hey, overall, listen. He brought the facts. He explained them perfectly, a lot better than I could probably explain them, I'll be honest with you. He said how it can be fixed. I do agree on the fix, you know, putting more variables into it to make it not just a straight line that goes off the armor. I think that, you know, different variables should be put into account. They obviously are, if we look at this, right? Different variables are being put into account, but some things are very, as you can see, very linear. But yeah, hey, I agree. Hey, if this can help me not die from, you know, little rocks being thrown, I agree, 100%. You know, I am gonna link this down below. You know, go check it out for yourself. You know, comment on it, do all that. I think this was a very, very good post. Let's see some of the stuff that people have to say, right? So, beautiful post establishes the situation, explains why the situation is not ideal, and proposes several conceivable ideas to make it better. I agree 100%. Can't think of anything that doesn't already fit in the current models. Only can give the less useful. Only can give the less useful what if ideas to allow the new potential ones. For example, if armor could be separated beyond a raw armor value, you could have given them different resistances to different damage types, strong versus blunt. Okay, I see what you're saying. So instead of like the numbers, it could be like, hey, this chest plate gives you a lot of reduction to blunt or a lot of reduction to piercing. That'd be very complex. I don't know if they're gonna do that exactly, but I see where he's going. The other is a method for attacks to give an extra element of randomness. If every long once in a while an attack got a lucky modifier or something, so like a crit pretty much, like a critical strike or something, and bypass more armor, then you could have things like a night slugging of peasants blows but still fall to a horde of them, as a lucky stone just manages to do damage, or just a lucky hit in the joints. Let me tell you something. While I agree with you, them rocks are already deadly. We don't need a critical strike rock. You understand me? But no, I agree. Like, all jokes aside, I do agree. But like, in one of my playthroughs, I forgot exactly which one. I think I named the video something like the best rock thrower in Calradia. This man threw a rock across the map. I'm talking about 100 meters. I was running away. I was past all my troops, and he threw this rock. And I swear to God, it did about 20 damage. And I was very upset. So, that lucky modifier might already be there. Okay, what else do we got? So, in all seriousness, he said +1. In all seriousness, what are your thoughts on the 2 mods? Oh, I have no idea. I do not use mods. But I would like to see his, you know, his reply. I respect a person who does the, like I said, hard work is respected. He did his work. He even made graphs to make it visually pleasing, you know, explain things the best way he can. I value his opinion, you know. So quality post, devs heed this please. A stone ain't hurting someone with knightly helmet. Eh, true, 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 true. I ain't gonna say nothing else but true. Great analysis and proposal. Doesn't seem as if pierce damage really works as pierce damage. The only reason to use pierce weapons is besides cavalry defense and rage to pierce armor. That is not at all reflected in the present code. Please correct me if I'm wrong there, but if I'm not, this is another example for how few thoughts they have put into the development process. They seem to have coded something that works at the first look, but nowhere near credible or logical. Okay, well, yeah, I think they made the framework for it, like we've seen, where he states that this not this code. Where's the code that makes it just a static one? See, some kind of blanket damage reduction thing appears to be unused. Only entities as defined by it set to 1. So I think that they will probably work off this later on and change these values to be more like, you know, kind of like the factor by damage type, which goes off what type of damage it is, right? But for right now, it's set to 1 because, you know, they wanted to put the system in place, but they're obviously going to go off it later. That's what my opinion is on that. But yeah, it is kind of bare bones. Thank yous. The forum needs more posts like this one. You're damn right. You know, I'm sick and tired of people crying that it's early access and they spent $50 on this game. I'm sick and tired. You know what I mean? Even though I make the content, it has to be shown because of how ridiculous it is. But yes, I do agree. These kind of posts, you know, are great. I'm going to try to showcase them more. And, you know, whenever I find a one like this, I'm obviously going to try to showcase it because it deserves to be in more people's eyes than, you know, people complaining over stuff that they usually don't do their homework about anyways. I doubt the devs will care, but thanks to go through OP for taking time. It would make perfect sense to take action on that. Well, I think the devs would read this over. I think this is very valuable. I think this, you know, is very well said. I don't see why not. And that looks like it's about it. Alright guys, so that was, you know, a little bit of a different video, but hopefully you guys liked it. Like I said, this will be linked down in the description below. Go check it out. Go comment on it. You know, if you do agree with it, let him know. And yeah, listen. Without further ado, ask me any questions, any concerns, and like always, stay safe.